Hey everybody, this is Aaron with Digital Inertia Productions. I'm here with Andrew, who is also Welfare. He's over at the Welfare channel. I'll put a link here so you can go and check it out.
Hi!
So yeah, say hi everybody. Hi Andrew. That's actually a question I had for you. Welfare. So is it Welfare Productions or you want to be called Welfare? Tell me a little bit about that.
The name, okay, I'm not like welfare as in like a welfare case, like, or like the way the world sees the word welfare, but the name did come about when I started playing StarCraft 2. Do you remember how you could get like the portraits?
Oh yeah.
In StarCraft 2, yeah. So the very first one you get is Terran. I always played Terran because I didn't want to bother learning anything else. So the first portrait I got was the SCV portrait. And I never changed it. Even though I earned other portraits, I just kept with the SCV one. And I looked at that SCV portrait guy. You know, he's got like a mustache. He looks like he's kind of not so, rich and famous. He just looks like he's from, the booties and stuff. And I just thought, this guy looks like he's a welfare case. He looks like he's on welfare. So for some reason, that icon, that portrait inspired me to name my BattleNet name Welfare. So that's what it's been for a very, very long time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And yeah, it's not called Welfare Productions or anything like that. What I'm doing right now actually will be under the company name 2 Players Animation.
Okay.
Because I started that a couple years ago, but I just haven't done anything with it yet, so why not just use it, right?
Okay, so 2 Players
But everything is done on, yeah. So everything's done under the Welfare channel, like to show it, and to show it off and expose it, I guess. But officially, the game that I'm making right now will be owned by 2 Players Animation.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. So, like Carbot Animations, we call Jonathan Carbot. So are you looking to, is that kind of what your thing is? You wanting people to kind of catch on and call you Welfare? Is that how that's going to
work? I mean, people already have, and that's fine. I started calling myself that in some of my Let's Play videos. But yeah, I'm totally okay with being called Welfare. That's fine. I'm okay with that identity. Yeah.
You have that orange character guy that calls you Mr. Welfare, doesn't he? If I remember right.
Well, I think he just did off the cuff of his lines. I don't know, just to be a weirdo. But that's just like the others. He kind of represents the audience sometimes. I don't know if you've seen some of my videos where it shows him in the bottom corner. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he kind of represents what maybe the audience is thinking at the time when I'm talking about stuff. And bumbling over my words, and then people might have like a counter argument to what I'm saying, and he represents that side of things.
Okay, that's neat. Yeah, so I mean, I think the audience would like to know a little bit more about you. To get that personal touch, right? Like everybody likes to get to know the guy that they're supporting.
Sure, yeah.
So tell us a bit about you. Like where are you from? How you got into animating? Where'd you go to school? That kind of stuff.
Okay, well, yeah, my name's Andrew. I do talk a little bit about myself, like, during, like, gameplay and stuff like that, but you never really get to, like, the details because stuff happens while you're playing the game, right? So.
Sure.
Anyway, yeah, my name's Andrew. I'm from Southern Ontario in Canada, and what inspired me to kind of be an animator was, obviously video games, and what I would do is I would take the instruction booklets of video games, and a lot of them back in the day always had like art on them. Like, you would see all the like special moves the character could do, and they would have like really cool drawings for each move. This is what they used to do, like, and it would show you like how to play the game in the booklet, right? And so I would look at some of these booklets, and like Zelda or Super Mario, and then I would start drawing some of those images over and over and over until I knew how to draw those characters. And then this is my earliest kind of conception, I think, in terms of my art. I would mimic video game characters, not mimic. I would like trace sometimes, or try and copy it, and that's where I think a lot of it started with art, and it kind of grew from there. I started drawing, stuffed animals that I owned, and then I started making comics. I kind of got into a local newspaper for a time and did like comics for them. I eventually went to Sheridan College, where it's pretty good animation school. They have good teachers there, good program. They focus a lot on the classical animation, like the flipping pages, it takes a long time to do that kind of stuff. But, I got used to it. I grinded through that and got accepted to Big Viking Games. And that's where I've been for the past... I was in animation school for about 5 years, and I've been in Big Viking Games for another 5 years. So my animation career has kind of been about 10 years long so far, I guess.
Okay.
And I haven't moved from Big Viking since, so...
Okay, so isn't Sheraton isn't it a pretty big school? Doesn't Pixar recruit from there from time to time?
Yeah, Pixar and Disney, DreamWorks, they all recruit there, but they select like one each year out of like about 150 students. And me, with all my amazing talent, did not get picked. Yeah, right. No, I didn't get picked. I don't even think I was considered for any of those roles. But my sister-in-law heard this. Ad on the radio for Big Viking Games, and she's like, you know what, Andrew, you should try to go here. It's in London, only a couple hours away. And so I drove all the way down and got an interview, and they got me right on the spot. And it was kind of interesting because you know how when you I don't know if you know this, but when you graduate, they have like a list of places for you to apply. I don't know if that's happened to you. Like they try and help you get a job, right? Or so they say.
Okay.
So they have this list of places, but Big Viking was not on the list, right? And so this is like a hidden little secret gem for me, right? And I didn't tell anyone because I knew if there was competition, I wouldn't have been able to get the job. So I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I didn't tell any of my, fellow students about it. Obviously, I had to do it that way. And they ended up hiring me on the spot after the interview. So that was pretty exciting.
It's good to know you have a lot of faith in yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have enough faith to tell other people about it, that's for sure.
Well, that's cool. Big Viking Games. I'm sure they're glad to have you. And you've been with them for how long again?
5 years.
5 years. Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's my first job ever, but I've been here longer than most people because we're at about 110 people in the company now, and I got here when there was about 25 people. So I'm kind of a veteran in the company, but not so much a veteran in my career.
Okay, so what does Big Viking Games do? I mean, it's games. I'm assuming they make games, right?
Yeah, they make app games mostly. Facebook, those like annoying things like so-and-so wants you to play Farmville or Cookie Row. I don't know what the frig. Like, what's that one called? Candy Crush Saga. You want to play Candy Crush? You get all those stupid invites?
Yeah.
Yeah, we make games like that. Those ones that really make you feel bad about yourself.
Yeah, I blocked those people. I blocked those people on Facebook.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll be sure not to invite you to play because I don't want you to block me.
No, I just blocked the invitation. Like they can't invite
Oh, I
me
see. Yeah. Okay.
Not the actual people, but.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's pretty neat. Sounds like you got a pretty interesting career.
Yeah, it's fun.
So let's delve into this game that you have this big vision for, right?
Yeah.
So let's start with the very first thing here. Like, what? I don't remember. I mean, I've watched a lot of your videos. I don't watch many of your video game videos. I watch your game, like the ones you're making.
Yeah. Most people do that. Yeah.
So, what is? I don't remember hearing a name. Is there a name for this game?
Yeah, I'm calling it Metal Mutts.
Okay.
To kind of like because it's inspired by Megaman X, and Metal Mutts is like the same acronym, MM, and also the old name for Megaman used to be called Rockman, and the reason why they called him Rockman is because the music that was associated with the game was very much rock music based, kind of music, and I think they had a whole different theme. I'm pretty sure for the game until it eventually became like this, robot that went around shooting people or like shooting other robots, right? But I think it had like a more of a musical theme to it. But when they kind of changed course and made it more of a robot game, but the Japanese name stayed the same as Rockman, whereas it translated or changed into Megaman here in America. But yeah, the original Rockman was based on rock and roll, and I'm kind of naming mine Metal Mutts because they're robotic dogs, and I kind of want the music behind it to be reminiscent of Megaman and be kind of like metal music, metal/techno.
Yeah. Oh, that brings me back to my next question: is why a Mega Man style? What drew you to the Mega Man style?
To me, Mega Man is almost perfect shooting platformer. I just love it. Most of my platforming game experiences have come from Mega Man X1, X2, and X3. I did play a couple of the old Mega Mans, but X1, X2, X3 I played over and over and over again, and I just fell in love with its feel, with its progression, with its overall just gameplay. I just fell in love with it. That and Donkey Kong Country. Those two games were basically my childhood, and I loved them as side-scrolling platformers. So, and because Mega Man was so shooting with robots anyway, I thought, well, this would be a kind of a good idea to kind of bring that same feel back, to gamers that really did oh, my voice is cracking. See, you're making me nervous. For gamers that, what's that?
I said my good looks.
That's right. Yeah. Well, even though I can't see you on camera, I can imagine that handsome face. But yeah, and so I thought it would bring people back to that feeling of playing Mega Man X, and because those were to me the best Mega Man games. X1, X2, and X3 to me were the best Mega Man games of all time.
Nice. And so where did the idea come from to create this Mega Man game with metal robot dogs? Like I remember, for those of you who don't know, Andrew and I actually grew up together. So I actually saw back in the day you had had these drawings of these robot dogs back when we were kids, really.
Yeah.
So I know you had ever since you were a kid, you drew these robots. So, but where did the idea come from? How did it kind of evolve?
Well, it all started when I asked my mom for a dog for Christmas. That's when it started. I was 8 years old, and I said, Mom, I want a puppy for Christmas. I'm going to ask Santa for a puppy. I wrote Santa a letter. I delivered the letter myself to the mailbox, and Santa replied with a letter back to me on Christmas morning and a stuffed animal named Rusty, who was a Pooch Patrol dog. I don't know if you remember those, but they were the stuffed animals where you can push their eyebrows down and put their gum flaps up so it looks like they're angry.
Yep.
And they're supposed to protect you while you're sleeping. So that was the whole commercial, thing. So I got Rusty from Santa, and I honestly was not disappointed I didn't even get a real dog. I fell in love with Rusty the second I got him. I played with him every day. I started drawing him. I started drawing a family for him. We eventually got 2 other Pooch Patrol dogs after him, named Butch and Trash. And then my cousin, Alex, got one named Sarge. And so that kind of was the beginning of the 4 dogs who were called Pooch Patrols. Anyway, so that evolved a little bit. I started to draw them as kind of like Simpsons-style dogs, standing on 2 feet, kind of big eyes and, kind of a weird kind of my own personal humor with them. But eventually, my brother Jonathan, who is actually Carbot, he drew Butch, which is the fat guy, the big bulldog. He drew him as a robot one day, and like kind of short, stubby robot looking. And I looked at that and I was like, that looks awesome. That's so cool. Draw the other ones like that. And he said, nah. And then he did something else. I forget what he did. And then I was like, man, I want to do that. So I drew all of them in robot form. And then I was like, these guys look awesome. They're so cool looking as robots. And so I started drawing them more and more. Eventually started making comics about them. And then I had to change their names slightly to make them more metal-like, robot-like. And eventually I came up with the names Bulk, Ruster, Crash, and Surge. And that's kind of where it all started. That's how it came to be.
So Rusty especially probably has this soft spot in your heart.
Yeah. So Ruster is my favorite of all the metal Mutts. He's the blue one with the 2 lightsaber daggers. He's the fastest. And that's often my playstyle. If some of these people watching see me playing video games, I will almost always pick the fast melee attacker, kind of like high risk but high reward type of character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually a little bit weaker too, not as strong, or.
Yeah, like when I used to play World of Warcraft a long time ago, and I would always be the rogue, who just the dual wielding, stealthy, fast guy that would kind of come up behind you and quickly attack really, really fast. Always those kind of characters, always.
Very
high
cool.
damage, but you could take a lot of damage. Yeah, really weak.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. So it gives us a little background on that character, and I guess sounds like the rest of them. Do they have, individual stories, like backgrounds to each of these characters?
Other than the history of how they're created, no, not really. They just kind of were created as a team to protect some kind of metropolitan area. And like other robots kind of were created to be, kind of, it's very much similar to a Mega Man story. It's like 8 other robots are created, turned evil, or just released into the wild, into the civilization. And they have to stop them, basically, because they're the guard dogs. They're the guard dogs that protect the city and the region, I guess.
Cool. So who is the bad guy?
But it's actually a guerrilla scientist, an evil guerrilla scientist kind of guy. But he's not just a scientist, he's also like a war machine type of character. So he's got a big arsenal, but he's also got a big brain mind. And he creates a lot of gadgets and robots and blah, blah, blah. Very much like a Dr. Wily, who is the antagonist for Mega Man.
And he has, so I'm allowed to share this, right? What you just said about this bad guy?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. Just making sure that there's nothing confidential.
No, it's fine, yeah.
Okay, so, and then he has other robots that are under him. I know you've revealed a couple already on your channel. You have a vacuum cleaner.
A vacuum cleaner, yes. Yeah. A vacuum cleaner knight. He's actually a knight as well. He is the custodian at a museum.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Sir Sucks-a-Lot. That's his name.
Sucks-a-Lot. That's right. Yeah. So, does he have a personality, or is he just kind of like got angry eyes?
No, he's kind of like. I mean, there's not going to be much dialogue in these games. Maybe a couple lines here and there to kind of emphasize the character of the Mutts, but the bosses are pretty much one-dimensional. There won't be too much to them. The experience will be mostly about the gameplay and the fun that you have during the game. Okay. That's basically it.
Can you give us any more insight on the other bad guy?
Sure. Yeah, I can give it. I think I revealed a couple on a stream the other day. I'm gonna have a lawnmower. Right now, his name is Groundskeeper Mo.
Nice.
I might change that, but yeah, he's a lawnmower. There's going to be a bee. There's going to be a raccoon. There's going to be a skunk. I can think of right now, but yeah, kind of like just animals and things that dogs hate, or that they like to bark at, just stuff like that.
Maybe cats.
Well, everyone's been asking about cats, but I'm reserving cats for now.
Okay.
Because they're so iconic, for dogs and easily identifiable as the main enemy for dogs. But I'm choosing to withhold that kind of for now to make the cat more of a surprise if it ever does come.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. All right. So that's basically my questions for the game. Do you have anything you want to add about the game or talk about?
Other than it's going to be 2 players, co-op, and you're going to get to traverse through these 8 awesome levels together. Fighting bosses together. I think it's just going to be so much fun. Even though I'm going to know everything about the game, I'm going to play it at least a couple times through. At least, well, I mean, I have to play test it, so I guess I'm going to play it a million times through.
Yeah, really.
But when it's all done, I'm going to be playing it a couple times through with some friends.
Yeah.
So
what platform do you plan on releasing this for?
We actually plan on releasing it on everything: Mac, PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo systems. Now, I don't know how smooth that's going to go, and I know it's going to cost a lot of money to do all these things. If the funds are there and the capabilities are there, we will release it on everything. But one thing I can say for sure, it's going to be on PC, sold on the Steam store.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
And you have a pathway to make that happen?
Yeah, Ben, our coder, is kind of heading that. He's confident that everything is quite easy or understandable for him.
Cool. All right, so, and Andrew has a Patreon page, and I'll make sure I put the link on here, so you can go and support him. He's, Andrew, you work full-time, and and you've got a family.
Yes.
So I mean, all this time that you're putting into this game is after hours. It's like, is it after kids are in bed? Is that how it works? And then until
I kind of just start right after work, and I work for about 5 hours. I go from about 5:30. Well, I take about a break. I take about a break from about 5:30 to 6:30, maybe 7 o'clock ish. Play some video games, kind of, take my mind off things. And then I work for about 5 hours, whether on research or actually creating the game. I'll put about 5 hours into it 3 nights a week, so about 10 to 15 hours a week. And I don't see my wife or my kids during these 3 days, basically. I mean, I come home and everyone's asleep, and I see them in the morning, but then I go to work full time, and then I do the 5 hours in the evening. I come back around midnight, 1 o'clock sometimes, and I go to sleep, wake up, and do it again for about 3 days straight, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then I see everyone, on the weekends and Friday and Monday, I guess. So that's my schedule. Yeah.
And your goal is to eventually be able to break off and kind of do your own thing full time, right? Like you don't
yes.
want to be.
Yeah, that's the goal. Evenings. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Big Viking games so much, and I honestly probably would be happier here than at Disney or Pixar, because they're just so good here with being laid back, letting us explore, letting us do what we want, how we want it. I honestly had the best job here I think I'll ever have in my entire life, in my entire career. I honestly do. But, as a creator and as an artist, I'm sure you kind of feel the same. There's no greater feeling than creating your own thing and sharing it with the world. That, to me, trumps anything else. I know it's going to be harder. I know it's going to be more frustrating. I know it's going to be stress levels through the roof doing this on my own. Well, not just on my own, but with help like with you and with Ben and other people that come along the way. But there is no greater satisfaction to me than creating something that I make, that I own, and share it with other people, and for them to find the same joy in it.
Yeah. So, and this next question, we can either leave or cut, depending on how comfortable you feel talking about it. But
sure.
So I know that you've kind of already mentioned about it, how you had started this channel called 2-Player Animation, and you had started this cartoon series that you were hoping to get off the ground.
Yeah.
But can you talk a bit about that and
sure? Maybe we can keep this in. This is great.
Yeah. Some things you learned. Obviously, it didn't go the way that you wanted it to. So talk about some of the things you learned during that process. And
yeah. So if there's one thing I've learned from doing your own thing, that is to believe that your failures are going to bring you to something, to a success at some point. The more failures you have, I believe, the more likely you are to succeed. It's kind of like digging for gold. The more dirt that you turn over and you dig up, it's just more of a chance that you'll find the gold. So it was with this project. I did create a channel about a year and a half ago now called 2-Players Animation, and that's when I started that company, 2-Players Animation. And I thought that I could do a cartoon series called We Are Heroes, and it was basically about 6 kind of mainstream, kind of trending video game characters of today, thrown into the classic worlds of Super Mario, Donkey Kong, Metroid, and having to save them because there was a big threat destroying them. And I thought the idea itself would take off on its own. I thought it was that good of an idea. I was so excited for it. I knew that the world wanted it at some point. This is what I thought. I was naive and I didn't really know what I was doing, but I thought the idea was good enough that it could carry the project without any audience. I had no audience. I had nothing to show for myself, no background, nothing. And so I kind of jumped into it full on, and I did a Kickstarter for it. Raised only about $3,500 with a goal of $30,000. But I learned a ton, and I learned to not bite off more than you can chew, which is kind of close to what I'm doing right now. I thought this project would be a lot smaller than a side-scrolling game, but that other project was definitely 10 times bigger than this, and I'm kind of glad it failed, because if I received the funds, I think I would have failed. I think I would have failed everyone that supported me, and I think I wouldn't have been able to handle it. and I think it would have turned out to be a pretty crappy series, to be completely honest. Like, maybe not crappy, but just not what it deserved, you know? That kind of show deserves, like, a team of, like, 10 animators working on it, you know, like, marketers and you know, concept artists, and just a huge team of people that show deserves. And I was so big-headed that I thought I could do it myself, but there's a couple other people helping me. So I learned, and I definitely downsized into something else, into something more my alley. Like, I didn't even know how to do a production on a TV show, you know, or a YouTube show. So this is more up my alley. I've been doing video games for 5 years now, and I know more about this than I did the other project, and it's smaller, so therefore I can kind of start somewhere small and start to kind of, I thought it'd be fun to kind of show it to people as I was making it, you know, so that people could see, you know, the process, and maybe even get to know me, and, you know, kind of just establish contacts and a fan base along the way, you know, so that way, right out of the gates, as soon as it's done, as soon as it's created, we have people that want it.
That's awesome.
And I guess that's it. I guess, yeah.
No, that's great. You know, and it's interesting. I've watched those videos, and I quite like them. I thought they were great, and I thought you have a great idea. Is it something that you want to eventually come back to and possibly pursue?
Yeah, I mean, if it's possible, and I use the word possible because I know it's possible to create, but I don't know if it's possible to get away with because of all the intellectual property involved of other companies, you know, because we're using characters from other companies, and YouTube's fair use laws are kind of vague, a little bit gray, but they do protect you in a lot of ways. And yes, definitely, it's a long-term goal of mine to do that show. I've like kind of fleshed out 4 seasons of that show and written scripts for like the first 8 episodes. And I definitely would love to do it in the future. But the only thing is I just don't want to get sued, you know, you know, by like these other companies. If it, like, they won't care if it doesn't become big, but if it becomes huge to the point where it's getting tons of millions and millions of viewership, it might be seen by these big companies, and they might want to take it down. I don't know.
Wouldn't it fall under parody? Because parodies are...
Yeah, parody has a pretty strong argument. The only thing is, I don't know how, like, some of these lawyers could totally, you know, present a good case that just rips apart any parody defense, you know. I thought, as much research as I had, and, you know, things might change over time, like the laws and stuff, but when I researched it at the time, when I researched at the time, I knew I was doing it legitimately, because as long as I was creating my own sound effects, creating my own dialogue, and creating my own music, I mean, they could be remixes so that people could at least know that it was the theme music for these characters and these levels, but they were remixes done by our own people, you know. As long as everything was done in-house, I knew I'd be okay, you know, and it would fall under parody, you know, but I just wouldn't be able to use the classic sound effects, the classic music, you know, nothing copyrighted. Just stuff that sounded similar, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, that's neat.
I think that's the only way that I could possibly done it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you had a lot more people involved in that, because you needed a lot of sound or voice actors to be involved.
Yeah, I had some voice actors that were major YouTubers at the time, and I was so happy with the voice actors and stuff, but it just didn't take off the way I intended. You know, like I said, I needed a fan base myself, and I regret the decision. Well, I don't regret the decision, but I regret not being smart enough to think of that. But like I said, I don't regret the failure. I think everyone should believe in their failures and accept them and appreciate them, because they are. You learn more from failures than you do victories. That's I personally believe that.
Yeah, didn't Edison say something along the lines of that he learned 999 ways to not create a light bulb, and then
that's right. I don't recall that line, but I would definitely believe it.
Yeah, I think someone said, yeah, how does it make you feel to know you failed 999 times before you made a light bulb? He's like, oh, I didn't fail. Yeah. I learned 999 ways how not to make a light bulb.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, cool. All right. So basically, okay. One more question, really, and then we'll make our announcement.
Sure.
So you've mentioned. So we've talked a bit about two-player animation with this multi universe or multi-characters universe coming together, and on We Are Heroes, right? So that's a goal of yours in the future, possibly anyway. So, but where do you see what are your goals right now? Where do you see yourself in, let's say, 2 years, 5 years, maybe even 10 years? Where do you hope to see yourself anyway?
Well, in the next 2 years, I'd hope to have this game done and to have a wonderful fan base. And then after that, it hopefully becomes a big success. I would love to spread that IP or that brand around. Like, I would love to make action figures of the Metal Mutts. I would love to make posters, shirts, all that kind of stuff, merchandise. But in terms of like other projects, there's a couple other games I have in mind that I really want to make. And go through the process again on my YouTube channel. Starting from scratch. Here's a new idea. Slowly leak it, slowly develop it, and slowly show people. And I have that idea for a couple other games ahead. In terms of like cartoon shows, kind of like We Are Heroes, I don't have anything. I mean, I would love to make Metal Mutts a cartoon series as well with voice actors and episodes, and because that's where I originally thought it would go. I thought it would go there first. But then I got the idea. I'm like, well, I'm in video games already. I might as well start it as a video game series. So, but yeah, you could probably see a couple more games done. Probably a Metal Mutts 2, Metal Mutts 3, depending on how exciting it is to other people. But also other games that I have in mind that are just completely different. But also a Metal Mutts TV series or YouTube series, animated. It depends if people want to buy the title. If people want to buy the brand. Then we could get other things done. We could have a bigger budget, make more things happen. There's lots of things that I have planned for the future. But yeah, one of my biggest goals is to make We Are Heroes, whether it be 10, 20 years from now, I don't know. But, I hope to have a company of about 10 to 20 people in the next 5 to 10 years, creating these projects together in a lot more efficient and faster way than how I'm doing right now.
Well, sure, yeah.
Because this speed is killing me, man. I just want this to be come out a lot faster, but yeah.
Yeah, you've got a guy helping you who's a coder, right?
Yeah, Ben. He's great. I freaking love him. He's so humble. He's so nice. He knows what he's doing, and he asks me about everything. He says, "How do you want to do this? How do you want to do that?" He runs everything by me, and I'm like, oh, just do how you feel. Most of the time, like, do how you feel will be best. You're a gamer. He's a big gamer, so yeah.
Cool, great. Okay, so for our announcement, did you want to say it or do you want me to say it?
Oh, about what you and I are doing together?
Yeah.
Sure, I'll say it.
Sure.
Guys, after listening to a lot of Digital Inertias, or my friend Aaron, a lot of his videos, and also with the close relationship we have and our background, I have decided to ask Aaron for help in regards to music. I fully believe that he is 100% capable and invested on doing the music for our game and making some really awesome tunes for these levels. And I know it's a big thing for this game, but I believe that Digital Inertia is up to the task.
Yeah, so Digital Inertia Productions and I guess it's two-player animation.
Yep.
We're joining forces to make this happen. And so I'm excited to work with you on it too. I just to viewers out there, like I haven't actually posted any music for a while, and that's because Andrew's taking all of my time up, and I'm not.
Sorry, Digital Inertia fan base. I apologize.
Well, it's not like it's that huge anyway, but it's like right now I'm producing music solely for Andrew at this time, so I can't really share it right now because it's right now I'm trying to do I post music on my YouTube channel for royalty-free purposes that people can use, and a lot of it's for free. And And I can't obviously share what I'm working with Andrew on. Although I'm sure we'll release something. Maybe in one of your videos we can throw one of the songs up there when they're complete. I've got a few ideas down. Nothing is finalized, so it's working on a few things. Also, as another side project, Digital Inertia Productions is actually creating a short film, and it's been in the works for over a year now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we've been.
I think you told me about that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much to say at the moment. I'm just gonna keep it on the down low at the moment because I don't want to. Because it's still. Like, even though it's been over a year, like, there's been a lot of learning in the process and having to redo a few things, and it's just taking a bit of time. But I'm hoping to release that trailer in the next couple months. So there's a few projects, and, of course, I don't exactly have a huge following, so I have my own full-time job that I'm attended to. And
similar boat, man. I understand.
Yeah, we're both Andrew and I are probably crazy in that sense. But yeah, so it's exciting, and we're excited to do this together. So
nothing can keep us from pursuing our passions. That's the most important thing.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And right now we just moved, so my recording studio is in a bit of a shatters right now. And so
are you recording in the bathroom right now?
No, maybe it's a good thing we didn't do video because my office in the basement, which will over the next several months turn into my soundproofed, sound absorption recording studio where I can actually do proper stuff. It's just filled with a bunch of stuff right now, including the soundproofing and sound absorption panels. So eventually that's all going to be done, and I'll have a nice background I can use for videos, and that's the future goal for that anyway.
Yeah, so that's awesome, man.
Yeah. So Andrew, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk a bit about your project and about your dreams, and give a little bit more insight into who you are and why people should check out your Patreon page, how they can find out more ways in which they can help you by subscribing to your channel and
so just really quickly about the Patreon page, just for a second. I'm not as worried about the amount of money being pledged as the amount of people pledging. That's to me the way bigger number. I would gladly accept 500 patrons donating $1 rather than 2 patrons donating $500 each. The reason being is because the more patrons you have, the more likely you are to be seen in Patreon's kind of community itself, and then you have more potential to grow and stuff like that. I'd much rather have the bigger audience and the bigger amount. So if you can't pledge even just $1, I do mine on a monthly basis. So if you do pledge, it'll only be it'll only happen once a month. The beginning of every month. But if you cannot pledge $1, like some people don't have credit cards, some people are young kids, 10, 12 years old, really excited about the project. And if they can't, just share it with your friends, guys. Let them know what we're doing here. Let them know about Digital Inertia as well, how we are combining forces and how we're just going to pump out a really, really awesome product for you guys. Really fun game. So just do what you can. Everything helps. Even just commenting on these videos helps. Because then it gives people confidence that when they do watch it, they look down, oh, there's people commenting, there's people liking, there's people talking about it, Just a comment helps. You guys have no idea. So thank you. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Andrew, for your time. And so this is Aaron from Digital Inertia Productions, and thanks for watching.